Looks like there's a good amount of people on. Looks like 62. That seems like a great turnout. We'll still give them one more minute and then we'll get started. So I said, if you've jumped on after I've just spoke there, I've got some directions in the chat box for you. We're going to ask you to come up with some actual goals tonight and give you the opportunity to get some feedback after we're done with this. So said, if you're whatever device you're using for this is a fine way to record your goals if you want. Again, write them down on a piece of paper, however you want. Any questions that come up, throw it in the chat there. Trying to manage the chat and the share screen can be a little bit cumbersome, so I apologize if I'm not a pro at this. You can judge me when we're done. I'll take any feedback that's helpful. All right, so we're gonna get started here. Okay, so we want you to be able to understand how to create a goal, your own personal goal. I think that's an important thing to understand. Not your coach's goal for you, not your high school coach's goal for you, not your parents' goal for you, but your own goals, things that you want to accomplish, right? Purposeful goals, things that get you to an overall outcome that will hopefully make you happy and proud of your achievements. So that's the idea here tonight. Something that you can, a tangible thing that you can take away that'll hopefully help you improve. All right, that's the idea. So again, as we go through this, any kind of question, please feel free to throw it up in the chat box and ask, and we'll go from here. So as we said, we're going to start with making sure that you can come up with your own goals. So go ahead, take a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, write down up to one, 2, or 3 personal soccer goals. Right, something that you want to achieve. There's no other guidelines. It can be in the next week, in the next year, in the next 4 years, in the next 8 years, whatever that wants to be, some sort of soccer goal.
Okay.
All right, that's the idea. Take a few minutes, write that down. There's no rush. Again, it's broad on purpose, right? I don't want to tell you what your goals should be. Maybe you've already had some goals and you're just writing them down now. It might involve making a team, might involve school soccer, might involve college soccer, might involve, your ability to run, strike a ball, shoot a ball. You can make it as big picture or as small picture as you want. Just make sure they're your own, right? We'll get into why. Much easier to pursue a goal that's yours and that you're motivated to achieve than what somebody else is telling you should do. Another minute or so. Those of us that are deep thinkers. All right, so you can finish up while we're talking through here. I'm going to ask you some questions or put some questions up to ask yourself, and I'll try and go through why they're important to consider. We'll give the opportunity to, you can obviously write your goals down at any point and change them as we go through this. So let's just, first question. So if you had more than one goal, are they random or do they somehow help you achieve the next one? right? You don't have to come in and give me an answer in the chat box or unmute yourself and talk. Just something to consider yourself there, right? Does one whole goal help build up to the next goal? It helps build up to the next goal. You know, is it say make the JV team, make the varsity team, make a college team? Maybe they're 3 separate soccer playing things. Maybe they involve playing time, you know, ability to strike a ball, that kind of stuff. But are they related to each other? Are they completely random things? There's not a good or a bad there. Just something to consider. Would one goal help you achieve the next goal? Think through what that one means. Do you control the outcome of your goal? So the examples I just gave, making a team, are you in control of that, or can you just influence it? Right? Goals that you're not in control of are tough, because you might do lots of different things very well and still not have the goal turn out your way, right? We play soccer. Soccer is the best game to show that example, right? You can have 75% possession. You can have 20 shots on goal to the other team's 1 goal, hit the post 4 times, and the other team, you know, steals a goal without having the ball and only having 1 shot, and now you lost 1-0. So if your goal was to win the game, you didn't reach that goal, but you did lots of things very well. So that's what we call an outcome goal versus a process goal. So consider yourself that. Is your goal an outcome? Meaning a result, right? Win the game, make the team, become a starter. Those are examples of outcome goals. You can influence them very heavily, right? But say, for example, you know, I'll use an example I use a lot for goalkeepers, right? Because only one is playing at a time. If you want to go to a certain college and that college already has 4 goalkeepers and they're all freshmen and sophomores, then it might be tough because that coach isn't going to choose a goalkeeper for your year. And now you might not reach that goal of playing at that college. But it's not because anything did wrong. It's just other circumstances completely outside of your control kept you from getting that. So something to understand there. A process goal is something that says you're going to do something and you're fully in control of it. So just think through that. Again, that doesn't mean that outcome goals are bad. Sometimes you have a high up outcome goal to make a team, and then you have 3 other goals to be fitter, you know, do other things that are in your control that can influence making the team. So that's why those 2 things go together, right? Long or short term. So like we talked about with an outcome goal, might be long term, and you have a bunch of process short term goals that help you get there. You know, something that happens in the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, whatever it happens to be. All right. So, you know, a lot of times mountains are used as examples for you know, achieving a goal. So you want to climb Mount Everest. That's your goal. But do you have any of the skills or maps or any of the equipment that you need in order to climb that mountain? Right? Sometimes you might have a goal and not have any idea how to achieve it, and that's okay also. Right? And if you're not sure how to achieve it, you have coaches, you have parents, you have teammates around you that might be able to give you ideas. But if you have a goal and you have no idea how to achieve it, well, then it's going to be difficult to have that goal go your way, right? To reach that goal. And the last one, again, why? Why are these your goals? Right? Again, I can't tell you there's a good answer or a bad answer to that, so long as they're your own answer, right? I've said that a few times now. If it's because somebody else thinks you should do it, well, it's tough to then continue with the motivation to achieve that if you're not of the same mindset that you want to achieve that also. So know why you're doing it, right? That's an important part. So those are the questions to ask yourselves about the goals you wrote down. As we go through, feel free to just keep jotting and making changes to those goals or adding some, maybe crossing some out, but kind of make this an interactive thing as we pose these questions to you. All right, so as we go through there, you ask yourself those questions. All right, we just kind of said this. The goal is the thing you want to achieve, right? It's your objective. These quotes come from a book. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on them. But the goal, I'm going to use goal and objective interchangeably. All right, the thing that you want to happen. A key result is monitoring how we get there. Okay, so how am I going to achieve that goal? I have the what, now I need the how. What do I have to do? How do I have to do these things in order to make this goal achievable? If there were a quiz at the end of this, which there is not, so don't worry, the word SMART is an acronym. It would be in the quiz a million times, right? So try and remember that, what that means. So in a second, we're going to look at whether or not your goal is SMART in terms of this acronym. Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it relevant? Is it time bound? So we'll look at examples of these in a second to see the difference between a key result or a goal that's smart versus one that is not. I'm not going to call them dumb, but again, is it measurable? And by measurable, essentially, we need a number in there, right? Is there something that you can hold yourself accountable to, right? So I'm going to give you a ridiculous example, right? If I weighed 1,000 pounds and I said my goal was to lose weight, and I said, lose some weight, and I came down to 999 pounds, all right, well, great. I don't really think I'm more healthy because I weigh 999 pounds versus 1,000 pounds, right? So is it really relevant to just say that? Is it specific? I might be attainable that goal, but is it really beneficial as we go through there? So there's things to think about. Again, SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. All right. So if the goal is where you're going, the key results are your map to getting there, as we talked about before, right? Do you know how to achieve them? You want to go to the park, you want to go to your friend's house, do you know how to get there? That's the idea. Okay. So just keywords that you see in that, things that are challenging, you don't want them to be too easy of goals, set you up for failure long term because you think you're succeeding, right? Because you keep beating your goals, but they're not very difficult. They're not very hard to get to, right? So they're not actually pushing you beyond where you already are, right? So that's an important thing. Where am I right now? We'll talk about that in the end. What's your baseline? Compared to what? Right? I got to know where I am, and then I got to push myself, not just one step, but maybe a few flights higher. All right, so look at these examples here. You have 3 examples. The objective or the goal, right? So be fitter. That's kind of like we said before, lose some weight. The key results. Are those results SMART, right? Like that's the question that's the question you're asking yourself. Is there a number? Is it specific? Okay. The first one also doesn't have a time element to it, right? Like, so what am I going to achieve this by? Where the other ones might not look like they do because there's not a date there, but it's kind of inherent in the thing, right? So be fitter is very general, work harder at practice. What does that mean? How hard are you working right now? How are you going to measure that? Right? How do you know if you're working harder or not? It's possible, right? Maybe you've got an Apple Watch, you've got some sort of other fitness related wearable, and you know that you're covering more distance, or you're covering more distance at a sprint, or whatever it is that your watch tells you. So maybe you can know that. But again, we want to see numbers in there. All right. And run on my own during the week. If you go out once a week and go on a light jog for 10 minutes up and down your street, you can say, yes, I met my key result, but was it actually helping you? Right? Going out for a light jog for 10 minutes a week is not going to help you be fitter. It's not bad, but it's not going to help you get your results. Right? So many of the people on this, we ran the yo-yo intermittent recovery test. We ran the fitness test in August. So I use that as an example, right? So we go to the average one, pass the fitness test. All right, well, the fitness test is going to be on a date, right? It's whatever, January 1st. Well, for college, it's sometime in August, right? And for high school, it's whenever your summer sessions start. So, all right, so hopefully there's a passing standard. So it actually does kind of meet a time-bound part because I need to pass it by that date, and pass. So I got to reach that level. Hopefully, passing is attainable. But is it pushing you hard enough? Are you just trying to meet that minimum level? So that's one thing to consider there. And then look at the key results. All right, run on my own 2 times per week. All right, it has a number on it. But again, how am I running? For how long am I running? Am I just running in a straight line around a track for 20 minutes at the same pace? Right? Attend every practice, right? So that doesn't have a specific number, but it's got a percentage, right? 100%. So that's actually it's measurable, right? It's specific. It should be hopefully attainable. You have however many practices a week, so it's a time-bound thing. All right, so that's average. It's better than the first one, but not great, right? And then as we go on, so now whatever the passing standard is, I want to get multiple levels above that, right? The idea being that if I don't get to this, it's still a lot better than just passing. Hopefully you've had a teacher tell you that at some point, right? If your goal is just to get a 65 on the test and you don't get there, you fail the test, right? If your goal is to get a 90 or a 95 and you do a little bit less than that, you still got a good grade. Hopefully that's not news to you. But that being said, look at the key results here. So the first one, run 6 to 8 120s. 120s are the length of a football field from the back of an end zone to the back of the other end zone, right? That's 120 yards. Sprint, that should say sprint instead of run, right? But sprint that as fast as you can, jog back, do 6 to 8 reps of those, right? 3 to 5 300s, out and back 25 yards as fast as you can, X number of minutes in between, on 3 times per week on non-practice days. So that's, hopefully we can see how much more specific and measurable that is. I kept attend every practice because that's important, right? And you can tell yourself, hey, I should have made a through run to get in behind. Or our team lost the ball. I'm making a recovery run. Are you jogging back? Are you not getting back? Or are you making that as hard as you can, as fast as you can, 100% of the time? So again, it's a number, right? You can keep mental track of that. And 2 other things I just wanted to throw in there because we might not often think about it. This is 5 to 8 grams of complex carbohydrates per kilogram that you weigh per day. So if you really wanted to get into this, are you measuring the amount of complex carbohydrates that you're eating each day? Right? That's probably a step above where a lot of us are. And I'm not telling you that any of the 7th, 8th, 9th graders on this should really be counting their calories that closely. But looking at your diet a little bit more specifically of what you're eating, right? The quality of food that I'm taking in has a very big impact on how fit you can be, as does the amount of sleep that you get, right? Which is, I believe, again, your wearable fitness devices might, record that for you, but it's also not very hard to just know when you went to bed and know when you woke up, right? And then do the math. So things that might be even a little bit outside of soccer and work that you're trying to control. And this is what we're trying to get to, right? So by the end of the night or the next day or so, we want you to come up with these kind of strong examples of SMART goals and SMART key results. Anywhere from 3 to 5 of them to help you achieve that goal. So if you can take a mental picture of that or take a screenshot or whatever you want to do, but we're trying to have you come up with these strong examples. Do they meet that SMART mindset, right? That SMART goal acronym as we go through there. I haven't heard anybody say anything about a chat yet. Am I missing any questions? No? Okay. All right. So going forward on that one. Okay. So take another minute or 3 or 4 and try and come up with key results. Pick just one goal for right now. One of the goals that you wrote down, pick one of them and try and come up with key results that we just looked at. Go ahead. 3 to 5 things that you can do that meet the SMART acronym: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound, and try and come up with those. Right, this is the how-to part now, right? Specific. How can what do I have to do in order to reach that goal? All right, so I'm going to go on here, but feel free to keep writing down those key results. Okay, so first question, ask yourself, are they smart? Is there a number there? Right? If there's something along the lines of be better, that's not very smart. Right? Work harder. It's all just too vague, too general. Right? Run more. Dribble more. Play in my backyard with the ball more. Like all of these things are just vague. They're too general. How can you make them more specific? 20 minutes a day after my, an hour after my last online class, I'll go in the basement and, work on turning moves. Just takes a little bit more of a sentence to go through there, right? And then the last one, again, making sure they actually help you achieve the goal. Are these things that will help me get there, or will they just distract me from it? All right, so just keep thinking about those things. I'm going to go through and probably maybe get a little bit more, academic on some of this stuff. So I'm going to try and go through it quickly. This was the heart of what I wanted to spend the most amount of time on tonight as we went through here, right? So why are we going to use this? We've talked about a bunch of these already. You want to push yourself further from where you are right now. We wanted to be specific because it's too easy to convince yourself that you did do something when things were vaguely worded, right? Like I said, I need to get fitter, so I'm going to run more. All right, well, I ran 2 times this week for 10 minutes, but, and I can check that off as saying, yes, I did it, but it didn't actually help me. You've got to do an activity, and we'll talk about that. We're going to do an activity that's actually going to help you, not just do a lot of activities. All right, and is it actually going to help me? If not, don't do it, right? So this is about as much about what to do as what not to do. So you're not wasting your time doing things that aren't helpful. All right, we just said that. Just doing a bunch of things to say that you did them, better to do. That's why we want you to do 3 to 5 things instead of a million things, so you can focus on the things that are really going to get you there. What I just said there, know what to say no to. I'm not going to do that because that's not going to help me. That last little line there, right? If you have 10 things to focus on, you don't have anything to focus on because you can't possibly focus on 10 things at once, right? And I'll put coaches on the hook for this, right? How many times do we give you a million things to think about at once? And then we have to take a step back and be like, well, we probably just threw way too much information at them, right? So we're all a little bit guilty of that from time to time. So just kind of thinking about what are the 3 to 5 most important things instead of thinking about every little thing. And that's just the time base there. What do I have to do in a certain time? We talked about being able to measure it. All right, this is something that I think is important to kind of look at from a soccer perspective, right? So just read through that last bullet point. So say your goal is to, score 10 goals in your high school season next year. All right, well, what do I have to do in order to score 10 goals? Well, I have to shoot the ball more. Okay. So I wrote, 5, and I got to shoot the ball on goal, right, on frame. So if you put 5 shots on goal per game, okay. But does that start leading you to just shooting the ball from anywhere? I've got a step to hit it and I'm 35 yards and I shoot a ball and it bounces to the goalkeeper twice. And now you go back to yourself and say, well, I got 5 shots on goal. Okay, well, let's make sure that maybe we can say 5 shots on goal per game from inside the penalty area and the width of the 6-yard box. Right? So now we're talking about shots on goal that have a much higher percentage chance of going in. So how can we take a good key result and making it better, right? Because it doesn't make you more likely to score a goal if you just start throwing up shots from 30 and 40 yards. But it does if you're getting 5 or 6 shots per goal from the middle of the field and inside 18 yards. So what do you have to do to get more shots from there? Right? So understand that you're not, again, doing something just to do it. That's not really helpful. And you can go back to yourself and say, oh, I did it, but is it really something that was going to make you reach your goal? All right. And, the more people know about your goal and the more you write it down, the more likely you are to try and make it happen. Right. So I don't know if anybody has anything where they have written down goals before and they've tracked any of this before, but just having a little, journal type book where you write down the things that you did, or again, you put these things in a Google Doc, like an Excel type sheet that has dates on it, and you can go in and just put an X next to it each day that you actually did them, and you can track at the end of 1 month, 2 months, whatever, 6 months, how often you actually accomplish those things and hold yourself accountable for it. All right, which leads us into this next one. You want the information, right? You want the data. You want to be able to know specifically if I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, instead of just trying to think back and say, oh, I'm not sure, I think so, maybe. Well, if you write it down and you keep track of it, then you'll know for sure. Right? And then a little bit through this, you can start to think about, all right, is this actually possible? Right? What do I have to do now? I've actually achieved my goal sooner. So now I have to set up new ones and new key results, because now I've gotten there faster and I've got to push myself even further. Okay, and that goes into that last part, is you have to think about this stuff, right? Just because you gain experience doesn't mean that you've gotten better. And so an example I've heard is, you guys, a lot of people on this don't have a driver's license yet, but there's lots of, there's coaches on here who have had driver's license for a very long time. That doesn't make us able to win NASCAR events and speed races, right? Because we've just driven a car a lot. So just because you do something all the time doesn't actually mean that you're becoming excellent at it. And you've probably been in a car enough to know that there's lots of actual bad drivers out there who've had a driver's license for a long time. So if you're not reflecting on the thing you did, what did I do, right? Just think about these questions to yourself. What was my goal? Did I achieve it? Why or why not? And how can I be better next time? Right? Again, if there was a quiz, those questions would be there. What did I set out to achieve? What was my goal? Did I achieve it? Yes or no? Why or why not? And then what do I have to do next time to make it better? Even if you achieved it, maybe you could have done it a little bit faster or a little bit more efficiently. So those are the things that, again, if you have a little journal that you can ask yourself and try and keep track of. So again, right, hopefully, those of you who came out to and a lot of you did, so thank you, came out to the functional training last night when it was freezing cold. You did that. Obviously, it wasn't comfortable, right? But you came out on a Tuesday night before a snowstorm on short notice because hopefully you wanted to get better. So a lot of people on this already have that kind of mindset, right? I wanted to get out there and be better, so I'm going to push myself past this comfort zone. Maybe the next time we go out and do that, forwards, for example, right? They might think, all right, how many chances did I have? How many times did I force the goalkeeper to make a save? And how many goals did I score? So at the end of the day, just keeping a running total in your head. And I had 20 breakaways. I hit the frame of the goal 17 times and I scored 10 goals. Right? And now you can really start to push that and to come up with set a target and then try and beat that target the next time you come out. All right. And the hardest thing, I would think the hardest thing about this, and again, I'm not going to run a philosophy class for you right now, but the idea that you never arrive is a very difficult thing for a lot of very high level athletes and coaches. You might have set an incredibly high goal, and then as this quote says, you get about 10 milliseconds to celebrate before you have to go out about how trying to be better the next time still, right? And that's the hardest thing mentally for anybody who wants to reach a really high level, is you never get there. There's always something else that we can do to try and be better because there's people behind you coming after you, right? And I don't mean that in any kind of like aggressive way, but there's always people. One of the things I tell our college players all the time is when it comes to our team, I have two main jobs, right? One is to coach the team and get the players that are there to be the best they possibly can be, and recruit. the best possible players that I can, right? And again, I don't mean that in any kind of like threatening way, but it's my job to go out and find the best players, and that might be better than the players that are there. So you have to continue trying to push yourself so that the people on your team aren't getting better than you, and anybody new who you don't even know might be coming up behind you, right? So just thinking about how that works out there. All right. So just again, things for you to consider. You know, I'm throwing this at the end, even though you've already written up some rules or some key objectives and some goals, but things to think about, right? This is about individual ones, but teams can do the same exact thing, right? So again, at school, we come up with team goals and key results first, and then we ask the players to come up with their own to try and meet those, right? So we have the team from the top down, and we have the individual players from the bottom up, and we're all trying to get into a line so that the players' goals meet the team's goals, right? Because it's not a very productive environment when the players all want something, or a handful of players think they should be doing something different than what the team needs. Okay. So again, some vocab words for you there. Intrinsic motivation means, basically from yours inside, you're the person coming up with this. You want to do it for your own reasons. Again, not because your coach or your parent or your teacher or your friends think that you should want to, but because you love it and you want to do it and you want to be the best that you can at that thing, versus extrinsic, right? Meaning outside, your coach, parent, friend, teammate, teacher are all telling you to do it. And from time to time, we all need a lot of intrinsic, and from time to time, we need that outside help and encouragement to keep us going. So it's not that, one is bad and one is good. You just have to have the right balance. And that balance always has to be tilted towards your own personal motivation, the intrinsic side. All right. And again, an execution plan, that's just, so once you come up with that, those goals and results that we talked about before, now it's, all right, I practice Tuesday, Wednesday. My plan is Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4:00, I'm going out to run. Like, that's the plan. I'm putting it down there, and I'm going out and I'm holding myself accountable. All right. So this is the last slide. I want you to consider these things. So for what your goals are, you're at a certain level right now, right, that most of us are kind of comfortable at. It's always easier to be comfortable, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with comfort. Plenty of times where we need to be able to step back and just relax. But in order to get that much better, you have to give up the comfort for discomfort, because it's hard to reach goals that are big and ambitious. A conversation I have with our captains at school a lot at the college level is, you got to stop talking about the way things should be, right? What I mean there is, that's great that you think they should be that, and you know what, I might agree with you that they should be a certain way, but they're not. This is how they are, and how do we operate within this, right? That doesn't mean you shouldn't work to try and make things better, but if we just get hung up on the way it should be and then not try to make it better, that's the problem, right? We should all be pushing to make things better, but we can't just be upset for that. Ego confirmation. What that means is, do you want someone, you think you're, very good, or whatever level you think you're at, do you want someone to just keep telling you that you're good, or do you want someone to help you be better, right? And that doesn't mean the person who's trying to help you be better can't say, that was a great job, now here's how you reach the next level. That was good for right now, that's good for you 15, but this is what's going to happen by you 17, so start thinking about this or that, right? So which one do you want? Because I would argue that the person who wants to give you that critique and help you get further is the person who cares more about it, to help you reach those goals. All right. Again, this is kind of, do we know everything or think we know everything? Right? If we do, we need to be open to the fact that maybe we don't. And again, that's all of us. Coach is on the same page with that, 100%. but the fact that maybe we need to question what we know and then self-reflect. Because maybe what we knew used to be what worked, and maybe it's not working anymore. Right? As we get older, we get stronger, we go through puberty, different things happen in our lives, and what used to work might not be working anymore. And I say this, again, use a college example. Freshmen who come in often think that, hey, this is the way I used to do it, and it worked in high school and club, and now it's not working anymore. And they never had to question and self-reflect because it always just worked. And now all of a sudden they're 18-year-olds playing against 21 and 22-year-olds instead of 18-year-olds playing against 15-year-olds or 18-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds. And they have to kind of rewire their mind to question what they're doing, why it's not working, and how can I make it work, right? Going back to those questions that we said before. All right, those two things kind of fit in together, right? This is the way things have always been done. It's never usually a good statement. We need to be open to new ideas about how we can, be better. And I say this. I took this out of actually there was a poster in my high school when I was playing locker room that basically said this, right? Because it's so easy to just take what we want right now, to play video games in the short term, to whatever, go to this party or that party or not put in the work. It's just so much easier to do what you're doing right now, right? And to give that up for what you actually want most, right? Because that takes a whole lot of exertion and mental energy and physical energy and overcoming setbacks and all that kind of stuff to get what you want most. And I promise you that everybody out there had some sort of setback at some point they had to overcome as we go through there. All right, so that is the last bullet point on my part. So I believe I go stop share. There we go. So I still don't see questions in the chat, which is fine. I know you have, you sit on the computer all day, so I'm going to finish this up just real quick. A personal, goal of mine I had back when I think I was 26, right? I used to be a teacher. For those of you that don't know, I used to be a social studies teacher. Did that for 4 years. I had tenure. Could have done that for the rest of my life. And I had the opportunity to become a part-time assistant coach at Army West Point with the men. And at the time I wasn't married. I didn't own a home. I didn't really have much to lose, so I could kind of take that risk. I said to myself, I want to get a full-time college coaching job within 5 years. All right, so I gave myself a timeline, and I basically said I have to get as many. I've got to get an A license. I've got to get, which is, I won't go too far into this, but I had specific things by specific times that I had to achieve. Make X number of contacts by working this many camps over the summer. And so this just, and luckily by my 5th year, my job at where I am right now became full-time, and that's where we were. So it's, something that doesn't have to be a goal for 2 weeks from now. If you might have like a pyramid of goals, right? Maybe your goal is to play college soccer, and then you have 2 other outcome goals, before there. And then, so it's like, I got to tick off these ones on the bottom of the pyramid first before we move up and before we move up. And so I'll close this with, there's a lot of cliches and quotes about Rome not being built in a day, and the way to eat an elephant by one bite at a time, right? All these things, maybe you've heard them or you haven't heard them before. But it's just something that you've got to stay committed to. Your line of progress is not a straight line. There will be setbacks, and you'll fall back from them, and you won't get what you want right away. And maybe you won't see it paying off right away. And that's why having the different kind of goals over shorter time periods and longer time periods can help you feel positive about moving forward. So what I want to just final thing here is, you have goals, and you want feedback on them. My email address, if you can see my name in my corner, is brendan.lawler@manhattan.edu. Feel free to, as I said before, write these on a Word document and send it over to me. Write it in a Google Doc and share it with me. take a picture if you wrote on a piece of paper and email that to me, whatever it is that you want to do. And I'll give you feedback and we can go from there about what I think of, not what I think of your goal, but if your goals are smart. That's what I'm going to give you feedback on, right? If I think your goals, if I know you well and I think your goals aren't pushing you hard enough, I might say that, or I'll reach out to your coaches and see what they think about it, just to see if you can't think of something that pushes you that little bit harder, so that you're not afraid to, kind of take that big push there. Coach Kevin wrote something in here. So through my example that I just said, right? I mean, it's still kind of soccer related, but it was really professional and personal related. Yeah, anything, right? Better grades in school, better relationships with your brother or sister. Like, that might seem a little bit weird to do it in those kind of sense, but yeah, professionally, personally, athletically, these are works for everything. Yeah, in the sense that this doesn't mean you'll achieve every goal, right? But if they're attainable and we do them the right way, then even if we don't achieve it the exact way we want to, we'll still be a lot better off than when we started. And that's what we're talking about, progress there. Are there any other questions, comments people want to throw up in the chat before we go from there? Okay, if there are any, again, email address, brendan.lawler@manhattan.edu. You can look it up. If you don't have emails from me in the past, you can look it up on, online. Just write, Brendan Lawler, Manhattan College. It'll come up in Google. You'll find my email address from there. It's been about 45 minutes. I know you're on the computer all day for this kind of stuff. So again, thank you for coming out. We're going to try to do another one of these next Tuesday, be a little bit more interactive. We'll have some film up. I think we'll start with the film from college soccer, so no one feels on point about having to be watched by the entire club through your own film to be started. But just how we might go about watching film, right, which might help you with some of your goals. All right. So I will leave it there if no one's going to chime in the next few seconds. Okay. Have a great night. Hopefully you have a snow day tomorrow. Hopefully your school district is letting you play in the snow and not making you go online. Other than that, build some snowmen and help shovel the driveway. All right. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.